Welcome back to Switch to Linux. So today we are going to look at the top 5 Linux distros for new users in 2017. So I've looked at a lot of different distros. I think all of these I've done quick reviews of or just quick looks of over the years. And so I'll try and link each of those in there as I complete the video and have it uploaded. But I wanted to focus on those Linux distros today that are they're very easy to use, particularly for a new user. They do not require a lot of terminal work. They're not going to require fixing a lot of bugs, a lot of problems, because those are kind of those things that would get in the way of a new user switching over. Whether you're coming from Mac or whether you're coming from Linux, or from Windows, excuse me, switching over to Linux, or just to test Linux out, then I wanted to pick the distributions that I find the most useful. Now, these are not necessarily always my absolute top favorites. Obviously, I think some of them are. And I run 2 of these systems on a regular basis. And there were a lot of, it was hard to pick these down. Some of the honorable mentions I did not include are Peppermint, which I run on my netbook, which I really like the system. It's just that Peppermint, Linux Lite, and MX16 is much the same. I think that more people tend to respect and have more knowledge or awareness of MX16 instead of Peppermint. And so I went with MX16. You could substitute MX16, Peppermint, and Linux Lite. They're all pretty close to the same, the first 2 being a little bit better. I also, I'm playing with Debian right now. My computer, which is off screen right now, is running Debian. Let me go and show you that right there. My new system over here running Debian. But I'm having a great time with that, but it's definitely not for beginners. And I think tomorrow I'm going to be highlighting my Debian build for my video, just what I'm doing with that. And this is a computer that runs actually 4 different desktop environments right now, one of those being Kodi. But it's running Kodi, Plasma, Mate, and Cinnamon. And so, we have a lot of good distros out there. I was thinking about doing Manjaro, but Manjaro is like an Arch build, and that is definitely not for the new computer user or the new Linux user. So there's a lot of good distros. I also thought about running Korora, which is basically Fedora that works, is what I like to call it. Fedora is a great system if you got the time to make sure it stays up to date, etc. But what I wanted to focus on are the top distros that would help out anybody that was wanting to switch over to Linux for the first time for a test. So, without further ado, the first distro we are going to look at is actually Linux Mint, and we're just going to be looking at the desktop that I have here. So this is Linux Mint. This is Linux Mint Cinnamon, and I believe this is 18.1. And the reason I like this desktop is I find that coming from a Windows environment and using Windows all of my life, I found that the Cinnamon desktop environment was the best for me. It's like XFCE, Mate, Cinnamon, all have similar elements to it. It's just that of all of those, I find that Cinnamon is the most modern looking, and that's what I like. Now, you can customize it a lot, so you can see I'm using a very customized theme, which are also, the themes are very easy to add as well. But I have all of the things, I have what you would call in Windows your quick launch bar. Now, they did away with those and moving towards pinning to the taskbar, which drives me crazy to no end. But I absolutely love how this setup is. I have over here on my far right, just like any modern Windows system, throw the mouse down the bottom lower hand corner, click this button, all windows will minimize so I can go back up, which is important for me because I work off the desktop. And then I sort things into files as I get there. So this one here, it also, is of every system I've ever looked at, Linux Mint works better than anything. That's probably why it's the top of DistroWatch. It's why it's one of the most recommended. There's some parts of its philosophy that some of the hardcore Linux guys don't like as much. But, I have everything in here I want. I got my favorites over here. I have my full menus. I can customize the menu to look really good no matter how I want it to look. I have this set up very much like a Windows type system. And for me, I like that because it's, for me, very efficient. My second pick for the top Linux distros for a new user to try in 2017 is Ubuntu Mate. Now, I've liked Ubuntu, and Ubuntu has been the kind of the flagship by which a lot of new users come into Linux. Most people don't stay on it forever, but and then you had a lot of different flavors of Ubuntu, and Unity is the main one. Of course, that is going to GNOME next year as they're stopping the shipping with Unity. But I wanted to pick Mate because it gives you quite a bit more of a familiar experience than the Unity version. Both of them are very good. They have a lot of similarities to them, but the Mate version will give you a lot more of a Windows type feel. Now, what you do have is the top bar and the menu at the top is what you have as your default in Ubuntu Mate. Of course, this is one of my production systems, so it's a lot more customized than the other ones were right out of the box. But you can see here that you have a lot of different options. I added the more advanced menu down at the bottom, which is the type of menu style I prefer. And then, of course, I set it up to have a lot of the same functionality of the things that I like. But what I like about Ubuntu Mate is it is a very nice, very modern operating system that allows you to do a lot of things. There are a large amount of tools for character maps and disks, calculators, search tools. You have your graphics. There's some programs I have installed separately, but I have not installed all of these programs individually. But this system does come with a whole lot of tools that are very useful. Let me go in and show you how much memory the system takes. So it looks like here you'll see here I'm using 1.4 gigabytes of memory, which is more consistent with a modern operating system. Some of that is I'm using a pretty expansive memory hog of a window manager, just because I know this computer can take it. But there are a whole lot of system tools available over here. It feels like a complete operating system. Out of the box, you can do pretty much anything with this. I added some of the programs that I did because this is my main computer build for running operating system backups and file system backups. Basically, this contains backups of all my files, so this computer is never on unless I'm actually doing something involving backing up files or systems. So this is, again, Ubuntu Mate, as the middle of the screen says, my second pick. Okay, our third distro is MX16, and as I said, MX16, Peppermint, and Linux Lite, you could all kind of put those in the same class. They have about the same system resources. I think MX16 is the one that is the most different of them, in that the sidebar, the menu such as on the sidebar, much like your classic Ubuntu with Unity, is on the side. The philosophy for this is some people talk about, with the widescreen monitors, you have more available real estate left and right as you do top to bottom, and so a lot of people want to run your system with the bar on the side. That's kind of a matter of personal choice. I'm experimenting that a little bit on my Debian build over here, where I'm actually running I have the standard Windows like taskbar on the bottom, but I'm putting more of a Mac like dock on the one side, and I'm just kind of experimenting with that to see how I like it as a system as I'm using it. So here, though, we have our system built up. We have our icon packs are a little bit more what you'd call the modern. I'm not a big fan of them, but some people are. A lot of people are. So you do have the more modern, flatter, monotonous design. You have the left sidebar here, but otherwise it is pretty easy to figure out. You can see this menu here. I believe this is XFCE. So the XFCE does have a feel very much like the Windows platform. And it's just, to me, I've never seen the XFCE system look quite as modern. It's like no matter what you do with it, it just has this flat look, which actually I guess is moving towards a more modern thing. I just don't like the modern looks. I don't like the modern, you know, monotone, big, blocky, flat colors. I'm not a fan. A lot of people are, so that's kind of a you know, personal choice thing. Now, I like peppermint because it has a darker theme with more colors in it. That's kind of why I like that. But again, it's XFCE, so it's a little bit flat. Just an FYI, if you are looking for something this light in resources, you can move this bar on the bottom if you do want it there. It's pretty easy to do that. And I actually have how to do, I'm not going to do that here. I actually have how to do that in the extended views or the test drives of it. But you can see here that we have basically a system tray over here. We can switch virtual desktops over here. We have Firefox pinned over here. And then you can see that this does have a very nice suite of applications, especially for how light on system resources this is. And let's see if I can find okay, well, we have HTOP for system resources. So this guy here, you can see it's only running on 300 megabytes, which is very small considering modern operating systems. So this one here is a very, very nice operating system. It is, it's lightweight, it's clean, it's modern, and it is very snappy in how it works. So this is MX16, or MX Linux usually is what you'd call it. 16 is because this is the year. There will be an MX17 coming out soon. So my fourth pick is Elementary OS. If you watch my videos, you know I'm not a huge fan of Elementary OS. A lot of it is it just doesn't work on my hardware. A lot of it is it's essentially a Mac clone, and I am not of the bandwagon choice that really thinks Mac is a beautiful OS. I think it's downright ugly and plain. But that's okay. That is, again, a matter of personal opinion. But if you want a system that you can have as a good family computer, it has parental tools built in at a default. You will not break this unless you know what you're doing on Linux and you try and do something funky. Elementary OS is probably for you. If your intention is to get on social media, play a couple integrated games, check your media, check your email, watch some videos, Elementary OS is a great logical choice for you. It does have a Mac-like feel, so if you are coming from a Mac-type environment, you will probably be a little bit more used to this. You'll see that you have a little dock down at the bottom. We have a music app, videos, photos, our system settings, App Center. Of course, inside of your system settings here, you can see this is where you can get your parental control. So this has very nice parental options as far as when the computer is accessible. So you can have your main parent's administrator account, then you can have your children's account. They can log in, you can control the internet, you can control the programs that they use, you can control the ability to install or remove programs, just all sorts of things. And you can even set it up so that you can do some administrative things on the child's account as long as you go over and enter the administrator password as you go along. So we'll just have a quick look at some of the applications here just so you can see that it does look quite a bit like a Mac. There you go. So you can see it is kind of resembling the Mac, just even in how they have the buttons, the alignments, where things are. It does operate like Linux. You know, Linux itself, as far as manipulating the files, you know, right-clicking properties, etc., it always operates a little bit more like Windows than like Mac in that respect, which is kind of funny because, you know, Mac is based on Unix and Linux is based on Unix, but that's just kind of the way it works. But regardless, the system is smooth. It is pretty clean. I find that it does not work on quite as wide a variety of software as many of the other Linux distros do because this is a very new operating system. So we kind of cut it a little bit of slack there, but it is very light on applications as well. So if you're not looking for a system that has a lot of utilities, tools, and things like that, then keep that in mind. But we do have scanners, screenshots, Let's see. I don't think we don't really have Office applications either. So you can come into the Application Center and install an Office program. Well, maybe. This is why I don't like Elementary. I should be able to come up to the search bar, type in Office, and get Office programs. Okay, we'll click on Office down here. Can I install LibreOffice? I'm hoping if I install the program, run these updates up here, I'm hoping I can install something like LibreOffice. I should be able to. I have no idea why I can't. It's also possible that I'm not able to install it because I'm running this on a live key. Most distros I should still be able to install anything on a live key, but yeah, we'll see. Anyway, but regardless, Elementary OS is certainly a top choice. Once you get it installed, you can install Office on it. Not sure why it's not letting me this time. But this, again, targeted towards more of a Mac user switching over to Linux. Just somebody who just needs a basic system that's not going to break stuff. Elementary is a potential logical choice. So my fifth pick for the top Linux distros for a new user in 2017 would be Zorin. And the reason I picked Zorin is they've done a lot to give you some different themes. Now you can get this version for free, which is your core Zorin, or you can pay for an upgraded one, which comes with a whole lot more themes. But one of the things I like about this is it is a very highly customized GNOME desktop, and I kind of wanted to pick the different desktop environments. So we looked at Cinnamon, we looked at Mate, we looked at XFCE, Elementary, of course, is Pantheon, and this one is actually GNOME. Now, GNOME is not my favorite desktop environment of the major ones. It's probably my least favorite, but it does have a lot of good appeal. Now, this one here is a highly customized GNOME desktop. It's actually, I don't even know how they did it, to be honest, but we have a menu set up here that's very much like a Windows environment. But the good thing about Zorin is you can actually change your appearance and convert it into more like a Mac type environment. Now they have a few different options integrated here, including turning on or turning off the desktop environments. So you can see, let's see here. So now we've kind of switched over into this other view, where if you click on your activities, now we get more of something with a dock, with more like a launcher. So again, this one gives you something else, an appearance a little bit more like a Mac type view. Now, if you are really interested in a view that is very much more like a Mac, you can actually pay the extra. You can pay the extra fee, and what you can get with all those extra fees are a lot of other desktop system setups. So here you can see this one is whoa. So this setup here is another one much like the Windows, and then this one here gives you one that has your kind of like your pinned tiles. So whichever one your option happens to prefer you the most. So this is what is good about Zorin, is you do have a lot of these options for the configuration, and then we also have here a lot of different applications. This one has more applications installed on it than some of the other ones do. You'll see the icon packs are very flat. Not my favorite, but some people will like these. Kind of what's becoming more of the mainstream popular. We even have burning software. Pitivi is a video editing tool. That's what we accidentally opened earlier. So you can see a lot of different utilities on here. So there are a lot of different tools already on this. So this operating system here is, whether you're coming from a Windows type environment or from a Mac type environment, this is a potentially good option for you to pick. So there you have it, my top 5 Linux distros for a new user to try out in 2017. I picked all these just because of their ease of use, the fact you don't need to go into the terminal a whole lot. They're clean, they have a familiar interface. It's not like, you know, the Enlightenment desktop is pretty cool, but unfortunately it's complicated for a new user to kind of figure out. If you are up for a challenge, maybe I'll do some top 10 Linux distros that might give you a challenge a little bit later. So with that, thanks for watching. And if you do want to help support the channel, you can find me on Patreon, patreon.com/TomM, and there are also some Amazon links down below. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.